Hey, my name is Kenny Johnston. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management covering the ops section here at GitLab. I'm going to be just recording myself messing around with some parts of the ops section that I'm not as familiar with. So this is part of an effort to create a walkthrough, a regular walkthrough that I'll do to ensure kind of coherence or an integrated experience between various components of GitLab covering this section. At this point, I don't think I'm ready to do an official recording, but I did think it would be fruitful to try and just record myself messing around with some of these features. So I'm going to start with some existing projects that I have and look at capabilities that I've already set up that are related to some new parts of the ops section for me, notably the verify, release, and package stages, and then also explore using some of the features in those stages that I'm not using today. So let's start with my kind of personal product validation project that has a bunch of different features. I'll say I have recently completed a Udemy course where I did this car assembly line project, and that gave me some experience adding different stages to a GitLab CI YAML file, as well as this static website where I was doing things like using review apps and other features. So that gave me a lot of experience in how to implement some of these features. My previous projects here have all primarily used Auto DevOps, so they don't have any GitLab CI YAML file in them. This one specifically uses Auto DevOps. I've used it pretty frequently in other walkthroughs. It's a simple kind of CRUD Ruby on Rails app. What I was thinking about doing was looking at some of the other features that I could use in this project as a start kind of place to play around. So I know that I already use feature flags here, and those were fairly easy to instrument. Let me pull up the project that I instrumented. So this project has this one. Show where I instrumented this. Actually, I think if I search for Unleash, I'll be able to find it. There you go. Done that recently. So this is where I set the Unleash context. This is where I ask whether or not, a specific feature flag was enabled before displaying or before implementing, and then this is where I do it before displaying. So if that feature flag is enabled, I'll display this random artisan link, and if it's enabled, I'll also do the appropriate route in the controller. And then this is where I add the config. So that's an example of how I used feature flags, and then I can toggle this to toggle a feature. That is from the release stage. Let's look at just my packages list here. Not using any NPM packages or publishing any NPM packages, but I am publishing containers, so my container registry should be pretty full. So on master, that's kind of slick loading thing where it flipped sideways. Taken a while. I don't think I've done much garbage cleanup, and maybe I should start doing that. I thought I would have a tag for latest. I should go back and look at last updated dates. Let's see if I go back and sort by last updated. Oh, I can't sort by last updated. Yeah, so I guess it would be interesting experience for me to figure out how, oh, here's latest, how I can delete anything that's not the latest. Remove those. Just take a while to load here. Delete those. I could delete this. It's for a review app. And this one was for a review app. I know that the package group is working on a feature that enables you to like delete all but the latest fairly easily. I don't think that's implemented yet, so that's why I'm not able to do it. Okay, so I think now I should just have latest left. Cool, okay, just latest, that means that's the latest container image that's used to run this application. Cool, I thought another thing I could do was look at releases. So I've never created a release before. Not really sure how this will work. Let's see. Tag name, let's call this release 1.0. Comes from master. This is the create it. Tag name is invalid. Maybe it's just 1.0. I should probably read the docs before I do this. Oh, okay. Well, that worked. I've got this. I don't know how it knows. Oh, okay. So it just used today's current SHA for it. That's when I edit. I can edit the release notes. I thought there was a way that I could associate a milestone. A milestone to a release. Let's see if I can find that. Another way to, okay. Milestones as releases. To do so, set the milestone due date to represent the release date of your release and leave the milestone start date blank. Set the milestone title to the version of your release, such as version 9.4. Add an issue to your release by associating the desired milestone from the issue's right-hand sidebar. Releases feature. Releases associated with milestones. Releases can optionally be associated with one or more project milestones by including a milestone array in your request to the releases API. Releases display this association with the milestone indicator at the top section of the release block. This was added in 12.5. So I guess I can only do that by the API. Okay, so that took a tag and created a release from it. Actually, it created a tag today. So maybe that's more what I need. Let's look at tags. I don't have any milestone set up, so maybe that was part of my problem. Let's see if I can create a milestone. I make the due date tomorrow. Going to add my one open issue. Oh, no, that's let's create a new issue. Oops, I should put the milestone there. Okay, let's put it in this one milestone. All right, so I've got one issue in my milestone. I have a due date. I need a start date. Start date today. Okay, I got a burn down chart. Promote. Let's point it to a group milestone. I don't want to do that. Okay, so there's some issues in my milestone list. Now let's see if that changes how I can do releases. I kind of want to delete that release. No, yeah, no method to associate. So I think it's telling me if I want to do that, creating a release, editing a release. Add release notes to Git tags. So some of this release evidence stuff seems like it's new, so it's only available via API, at least the connection between releases and milestones. Okay, so it automatically gives me artifacts from the Git tag. I can add whatever links I want. I can have those releases available for download from my project page. So I think that is showing me here. And this should now show me that I have a release. Yeah, one release. And here's a link to that release, and I can download the content pretty easily. I would have some release content about what was new in that release, but I would like to play around with adding a milestone to a release, so that might be something for me to do on a different day. See what else I can look at. Okay, so I'm familiar with pipelines. These are all going to be running auto DevOps pipelines, so they're quite complex pipelines. Oh, interesting. So this is a pipeline that gets triggered by the release. Why does that happen? Let's look at this release content. Getting started with releases. Maybe there's a pipeline that runs tag creation in pipelines now. I think this is just about job selection. What I was really interested in is there something that is making the fact that I created a tag run a pipeline? I'm not sure why that is. Let's look back at my pipeline. So this pipeline ran. It does appear to be different. don't think this is a new commit. It's just a tag. So let me see this, where we have. So these are the different, okay. So when a get reference of a pipeline is a tag. Okay, so it must be something in Auto DevOps that automatically runs a pipeline on a tag. That's interesting. Now I'm gonna go look at that. I just need to look at tags. Annotated tags are an unchangeable part of a Git history. Okay. Okay, so when I tag, that is like a, I guess I can think of that as a Git trigger that is triggering pipelines. And there are probably yeah, I think that's what's happening. Something I learned today. I was going to look at wait. Auto DevOps templates, see if it has references to tag. There'll be some stages that don't run on tag. Oops. Like maybe deploy doesn't run on tag. Oh yeah, only branches and tags. That's the review. Stop review, staging. Only on masters, so not on tags. Yeah, okay, so yeah, there are some places where we're running it on tags only in Auto DevOps. Where was I? Back here. So this was pipelines. I had seen the new pipeline. In general, I can look at any of my pipelines, maybe that loads. So previous pipeline, I can see that I ran something like code quality. There are, this is the pipeline and the job. This is the output of the runner log. So this is how the runner was picked up and what executor it was using. And then logs of it running the code quality. I want to see if there's one where I get a output, an artifact. This took 1 minute to run. I thought there was a way that I could look at the results from this. Uploading artifacts. I thought they would have shown me artifacts here somewhere. Maybe I'm missing them. some reason that's not showing. Yeah, I thought there was a way I could look at this jobs artifacts. Maybe they just were run too long ago. I'll see on these one of more recent job pipelines I was just running. Okay, so test was run. Yeah, I thought there was a way for me to see. Let's look at all jobs. So these have some artifact. Did I just miss that somewhere? Oh, here's job artifacts, download. Okay. So this is how I can, oh, I went to a different screen. You can still see that. So this downloaded some results. Where did my window go? There we go. Okay, notice I'm in the wrong place. So that was me downloading. I guess I could also just directly browse. I wonder what that looks like. Oh, cool. So I can look at the artifacts. I can drill into the files from that artifact without having to download it. What happens if I look at this specific file? Pop out. That's not super readable. Okay, so that's how I can look at job artifacts. That was cool. Download artifacts archive. I wonder what that does. Oh, I just downloaded it. Not sure what the archive part of that means. Okay, so that's an example where job artifacts were presented or were captured and then displayed here. Maybe there just weren't artifacts from those other jobs because there were no changes. That might make sense. Okay. Schedules, I'm familiar with how to add a scheduled job. There aren't any here, but maybe there's some examples where I've done that before. Okay, you can add a schedule, you can have a custom interval, you can use some others that use cron syntax. You gotta change, say the cron time zone, target branch, any variables, then say the pipeline it'll run. You can have specific, only run on scheduled jobs too. Okay, I'm trying to think. I was just trying to think if there was an example where I have done that. I think there is. Okay. So in a static website, as part of that Udemy course that I took, I think I did add some scheduled CI jobs. Let's look at this one. Yeah, okay. This was a daily run. I can run it automatically with that play button. This is how I edit it. It runs every day at 4 a.m. on master, no variables. And then there were specific jobs in this CI YAML file that only run on schedules. Yeah, so this one is updating the cache on a schedule. This one does not run on schedules. This one does not run on schedules. So that's an example of using schedules. Let's look at environments. So this is something I know is set up for that Artisans app. This has environments. So there's multiple environments, 3 review environments that are still up and running. I should probably stop that environment. Stop that environment. This one, stop that. It's kind of cool how it had that nesting behavior where it was like in a folder and there were multiple review environments. This is my production environment with 5 pods. I can open the live environment, look at monitoring, open the terminal, redeploy. else can I do? Let's just look at general CI/CD. This is my pipelines. Maybe let's take a look at settings. Okay, so my general pipelines have a Git strategy. I can have a custom CI configuration path if I don't want it to be GitLab CI YAML in my base directory. I made these public. Auto cancel redundant pending pipelines. That's cool. Skip outdated deployment jobs. When a deployment job is successful, skip older deployment jobs. Oh yeah, we should do that. That's cool. Test coverage parsing. I don't know why it chose this one. Doesn't match. Oh, it's this one, sorry. It's Ruby, because I'm using Ruby. I wonder if, oh, that must have been because I cloned this project originally from a template project. That's pretty cool. Adding pipeline status. I think I've done this. Let's see if I put this in my, oh, let's do here actually. My description. I think that's where I'm supposed to put it. Let's see if I do that. That didn't work. Well, let's look at that and see what it said to go. No real link here for where I should put this. I thought I could just put it in that markdown. Maybe it needs to be HTML, not markdown. Oh, did I not grab the whole thing? That's weird. Oh, is there a limited amount of? Let's look at GitLab. Maybe I'm not putting this in the right place. No, they're there. Pipeline running coverage. Let me see. Maybe I'm doing that wrong. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, there's some limit here. So you have a description, then what do you need to do to add this to below? It's like there's some limit when I'm changing these general settings. Like I can't even hit enter there. That's weird. Oh, badges. Oh no. Okay, so I think what's it's telling me is these. This is the image. Yeah, that is pretty confusing given that I'm using GitLab and you'd think it would just be, hey, push this button to add all those here. I think this is what I'm doing. Yeah, badge image preview. Okay, so those are badges. You had them by doing this. This CI settings was saying pipeline status, coverage report. It should probably give me some indication that I'm talking about badges and that I could go configure where I could go configure these. Okay, that was interesting. So I added a new badge. Now let's look. Yeah, okay, so I should probably fix that thing that I did before. Adding this content too. I always thought that was just markdown content in a project description. Okay, so I now have this badge. It's cleaned up. So that was another thing in CI/CD settings. We're going through CI/CD settings, auto DevOps. I have auto DevOps on, protected environments. I don't have an environment. Oh, I do have a protected environment for production, only for maintainers. I can look at my runners. I can install new runners, but I'm using the shared runners from GitLab.com. I have a, yeah, I've never set up a group runner. We could try doing that too. That might be fun. Let me keep going through here. Variables. Okay, so I've got a bunch of CI pipeline variables. Familiar with how to set those and how to make sure. I should probably make sure these are masked. No, actually, none of these are really. Yeah, none of these need to be masked. They're just useful variables for auto DevOps. Deploy tokens. Tokens allow read-only access to your repository and registry images. So this would be for like bots, I would imagine. I can create an application, give it a unique token, allow it to read the repository and registry images only. That's cool, that makes sense. What's a deploy key? Deploy keys allow read-only or read-write access to your repository. Huh. I like that I have to have something extra to allow write access. I'm a little bit confused on what the difference between a deploy key and a deploy token are. Pipeline triggers. Triggers can force a specific branch or tag to get rebuilt with an API call. These tokens will impersonate their associated user, including their access to projects and project permissions. One thing on these settings is, being someone who doesn't know a lot about them, I would really love to have links to the documentation for this stuff to help me think about why I would use it. In the following example, you can see an exact API call you'd need to make in order to build a specific reference or tag with a trigger token. So I'd use this token and it would automatically build a tag. Who container registry tag expiration policy. Okay, so that was before I was deleting a bunch of registry images. Not available today. Oh, that would be cool if I could retroactively apply that. So looks like this is a future planned capability. Not done because it's not possible, but done because it might be risky. That makes sense. Okay. Good explanation and good link to documentation there. License compliance. Okay. Set up pipeline subscriptions for this project. A subscription will trigger a new pipeline on the default branch of this project. A subscription will trigger a new pipeline on the default branch of this project when a pipeline successfully completes for a new tag on the default branch of the subscribed project. So anytime a new tag is created in a subscribed project, a pipeline will run on this one. Let me look at my CI YAML reference. And Can I specifically say only run jobs unsubscribed? Wonder how I would use that use case, or how I would use that feature. So I can subscribe. When those things subscribe, I run a pipeline on my project. Maybe it rebuilds from that new project with the new tag. It's meant to make sure mine is up to date. That's interesting. I can get it from multi-project pipelines. I was just wondering if there were ways that I could only run certain jobs when triggered from a subscription versus not. Sounds like we cannot do that. Okay, so that was a bunch of settings. Let's just look through other, pages. So I think I have a GitLab Pages site somewhere. Yeah, look at Pages for a second. No. Is this a Pages? Yeah, okay. This is a Pages site. This page is served here. I have done this in a personal project for adding a new domain. It was fairly straightforward. I could do a little bit of a walkthrough of that at some point. For Sage. So, reflecting on this experience, a couple places where the documentation would have been helpful and where I'm just seeking to understand how to do some of these tasks. I think as I'm thinking through what kinds of tasks would be useful for this walkthrough, there is the whole process of setting up some of these features, like defining your CI YAML file and creating cross-project experiences. I'm wondering if it would be better for me to focus on using them, so creating issues and tags and releases, and then merge requests with pipelines, and then processing a release, including the documentation of that release within maybe like a multi-project setup. That might be an interesting thing to set up, where I could frequently run through the same walkthrough of that experience of like adding some new features to that capability or those set of projects. That would let me test, pipelines, jobs, artifacts created as a result of auto DevOps pipelines and not auto DevOps pipelines, triggering between projects, as well as releases and the creation of release artifacts. So that might be where I start for a walkthrough. This was helpful, especially I think I'm like more walkthrough. I can do other walkthroughs about the configuration of some of those components as I'm configuring them, but the ongoing one might be more useful in terms of utilizing the features on a daily basis. So I'm going to stop the recording there. This is interesting to me. I'll follow up with some additional issues that I spotted in this video, and then write down my thoughts in this record and document section about where I think I should focus future sessions. Cool. Thanks, everybody. I'll stop sharing and stop recording.